Yep. Welcome to the Indigenous Heathens podcast. I am Incredible Javier,
And I'm Yahaira Quiroz.
and we are the
Today we're going
Indigenous
to be,
Heathens. My bad. Go ahead.
my bad. So we're the Indigenous Heathens, and today we're going to talk about resilience, discipline, and whatever else comes up.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So, I really love this topic because one thing that I've noticed for doing a lot of the interviews that I do is that in order for people to change, or even not even change like who they are, but change their lifestyle, to make sure they don't, reoffend or get involved in any part of the criminal justice system, it does take resilience. It does take discipline, and it takes you can have the same attitude. You just have to like move the energy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. For myself, we come from the same walk of life, and change sometimes in our environment is for the weak.
Yeah.
Meaning if you don't carry on those same beliefs that we had growing up as kids, or that, we're just all around us in our environment, you're perceived as, oh, that fool's a lame now, or, she's no good, or, and sometimes that discourages you from wanting to grow. And for me, I had to completely just, change isn't easy. And I had to completely just like get nude. And by nude, I don't mean physically, I mean mentally, where you're ready to lose everybody around you, um, all those inhibitions, all those beliefs, and even yourself. And I don't mean that in a negative way, like you're losing who you are, but sometimes in order to evolve, you have to get very uncomfortable, even with your own being, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because even like in nature with the mass extinctions, when mass extinctions happen, then you'll see radical changes in new species. Yeah, I mean, so it's the same with us. Like sometimes we do have to change who we are, be uncomfortable. That's a huge part of it. Is being uncomfortable, and you just have to be comfortable with that. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I know for me, for a long time, whenever people said I was a family man, that bothered me, even though I was, and I am. But that would bother me because hell now I'm a motherfucking gangster. You know what I mean? Like that's what I am. But uh in reality, I am a family man, and it's just like you said, taking away that part of you where it's like it's kind of seen as weakness. Like family men are weak. I'm a gangster.
Yeah. And now, in actuality, I can relate to that. And I think I've said in the past, for a long time, I've had an attachment issue, not only to my children or my family, or even the things that like hobbies and stuff like that. And I had to, because of the type of life that I was living, I had to prioritize to ask what was more important, being involved in criminal activity that was going to help me provide. And as a woman, it's very difficult to be like and I don't mean just gang wise, just when you're involved in crime, something that will lead you to jail, people are more careful around the female because they know that that female might turn around and tell because she's got children to take care of.
Yeah.
So having to find the balance and navigate through that, and I'm not proud of that behavior. So um I'm not proud of that mentality, that behavior, but it gets it gets embedded in your veins to be, to
Yeah.
be embarrassed in a way, not embarrassed, but like, oh no, I'm not just a mom. When in reality, it's like, yes, you are. And that's just your priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So,
crazy because we look at it like I'm not that or I'm not that, but it's like that's what we should be like you said, prioritizing, focusing on. That's what we should be proud of. But because the streets have taught us like that shit's weak and those fools are fucking lame. Or I remember as a kid, we'd be like, "Where's homie at?" He's all hugged up with his hyena. Man, like what's up with this fool? You know what I mean? And it's crazy because he's just trying to do right for himself, and we were not hating on him. We're just like we kind of wrote him off, like he ain't with it no more.
yeah, definitely. I remember I had some friends. Keep in mind, I grew up reading, right? Because I
Yeah,
like to read. But like when we were out here on the streets, this is when I was still like a teenage kid when I was out of camp. So the homie would go to like Mission College, and I was like, oh, well, where's so and so, you know? And they'd be like, oh, he's in school right now. Man, that fool's a weenie. What's school gonna teach him, you know?
Yeah.
But in reality, I enjoyed reading, you know, but you gotta fake the funk, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, it's true. I always had and like I always thought like, could I do something else? And but I just never wanted to pursue something else because like you said, it's just so I think it's just so easy to stick with the street life. Like that's something that we knew, that's something that was just natural to us.
Yeah, definitely. Growing up, I was taught that discipline was like a bad thing, and I don't think my mom did that in a negative way, but I didn't want to get up at 6 in the morning so that I can prepare for the day. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to sleep in, and who doesn't want to sleep in? I didn't want to have a clean room so that later on when I came home, I can focus on doing homework. And I know it sounds petty, but when you're designing your life, or and I'm not where I want to be at yet. I'm not saying I've triumphed or anything like that. I'm a work in progress.
Yeah, definitely.
But all those little things matter. Your space matters, your attitude matters. And sometimes being lazy is better for us because, well, fuck, I don't got to get up at 6 in the morning. And if I don't, I can sleep in and eat cereal. And I don't know, just stupid thoughts like that really like
Yeah.
define who I was.
Yeah. And I think to a certain degree, you can kind of get away with that when you're a kid because you're a kid, you don't have those responsibilities. But it's bad that set up those habits when you're a kid because you'll carry that shit into adulthood.
Hmm.
And then when you do that, then you'll find like shit. Nobody's gonna take care of you forever. Nobody wants you laying on the motherfucking couch to noon. It's like, dog, you better get your ass up, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of my pet peeves, to see anyone sleeping in late. And you're absolutely right. Like, and I tell this, I tell this to any youngsters I come across. Like, if you smoke weed, first of all, you shouldn't be smoking weed because you should be concerned about your brain development, which it may or may not be true. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you what I've heard,
Yeah.
but nobody wants any man or woman who cannot hold their ground, or somebody who's high all day, even if it's on weed, because a lot of us, we like to smoke weed, we like to eat hot Cheetos, and I don't know what they do, watch the YouTubers or whatever it is that they do. It seems innocent, but if we don't get on our children about shit like that, um, they're, we're gonna carry on those habits. I carry those habits all the way up to adulthood. There was every job I worked at prior to like a couple years ago, I was always late. And when I was like 30 minutes late, I'd be like, well, what the fuck are you guys tripping off of? You guys are lucky I made it, like with that just that whole attitude. Like I thought, yeah, entitlement,
Yeah.
and yeah, man, I have to shake that shit real quick.
Yeah. For me, it was a similar, but a little different because I would always miss as much as I could. It's like I'm gonna miss as much as I could without getting fired. And I would push the motherfucking boundaries. And it wasn't that like I felt lucky for that. For me, I've always felt like I'm gonna scam the system. What could I do? You know, like how could I do the least amount of work? And just like you said, there's that lack of discipline, and I've had that my entire life until recently. Like now, I fucking get up early as fuck because I have a lot of shit to do. It's like there's not enough hours in the day. I don't know how the fuck that happens. Like I'm waking up earlier. I'm trying to do more, and it's like fuck, there's not enough time. But yeah, as a kid, like I just never went to school. I'd walk to school, then I'd see somebody, what's up, fool? Like, oh, what's up, man? Hey, let's head over there. And we'd try to get some girls, go to a fucking ditch party. We would do that, or we would just end up somewhere else. And you mean, and even in I was kind of fucked up because I went to Nellis, which in Nellis, by that point, the staff couldn't really like they could fuck you up, but not as bad as they were back in the day. And we could just tell them, I refuse. I'm not doing shit. And I had to learn the hard way when I went to fire camp, like, oh fuck, I have no discipline at all. And I didn't even make it there because of that.
You know, when I was and why for me, I enjoyed going to school and little things like that. But it was easy. It was easy to just shut it down and be like, nope, and that was acceptable there. Um, when I got out, I was working at Nordstrom's. And the whole time I was employed there, but I was hustling on the side because I needed both incomes. And it wasn't a bright choice, but hey, it wasn't the best option, but it was an option nonetheless, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So I was offered a manager position. And I sat there and I pondered. I was like, if I take that job, these fucking white ladies are gonna want me to do more.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoy just sitting here. And I would shop while I was there. And I was so broke because by the time my check came in, my credit card was maxed out.
Damn.
And then because I was very materialistic, right? I grew up poor. I like nice things. So, what do? I start compulsively shopping. So it wasn't crack, it was shopping, my habit. So but then I started to, kind of grow up a little and look around, and I was like, why am I like this? Why am I so lazy? Why don't I want to why do I refuse to put in the extra work? And then little by little, as I would like read here through, information from random places, I kind of learned that it was all habits from my childhood, and not necessarily just from my childhood, but some of those habits were from trauma too,
Yeah.
and from just like being afraid to fail and expand
Yeah.
mentally. And that's where I started to kind of grow, but still stuck in the same pit, if I make any
No,
sense.
you make perfect sense because I could relate to that 100%. There were times where I had opportunities and I would like purposely blow those fucking opportunities. And it's just like I would just do that on purpose because like I don't want to take that next step because like you said, it's more work or it's uncertain or there's something else. And it's like I'm cool where I'm at right now. And this is doing it. And maybe I'll do a little bit better than this, but I don't want to take that huge fucking step. But a lot of the times that leaves you stagnant, that leaves you, it's like you're not growing the way you should be, the way live it to your fullest potential. And I've been hearing that my entire life, like you have so much potential, you're just wasting it. I've been hearing that my entire life, and I think I could relate exactly to what you're saying. It's like we're not doing anything with it, and you're not moving, and you have to be able to move. One thing that I trip out on though is I think discipline was our just from what you're saying and from what I'm thinking, discipline was our major thing we need to work on because the resiliency was there.
Mhm.
I mean, like we grew up in a lifestyle where you had to be resilient. We grew up in a lifestyle where every day you have to fear if you're going to be alive, if you're going to be in jail, and if you are in jail, then those that brings other challenges where it's like you think you're the toughest motherfucker until like you're getting your ass beat. Then you're like shit. Then you can't give up now though. Like don't quit now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm with you. And along the journey, because for me it's a journey, and like I said, man, I'm flawed. If you come from my type of background, it's like there's no way you made it out in one perfect piece. Fuck no, I'm flawed. I curse, I'm profane, I got all kinds of issues, but I will try to be a positive person
Yeah.
around anybody that I make contact with, but definitely, like I said, I fucking feared what's the word we were using? You just said it. I'm sorry, I lost my
Discipline.
thought. Discipline. And now I feel, and I think I had like ADHD the whole time growing up too.
Yeah.
So do pardon my demeanor. And then so discipline was very difficult for me to obtain or to even entertain. Like for me, this shit was for suckers. Like, I'm running my own program.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. My kids are fed. Like the basics were covered. So I felt that, as long as my kids ain't in no fucking foster care right now, so I'm doing okay. But that's such a like, uh, not primitive, but such a, like you said, such a waste of like potential.
Yeah.
Because as I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, well, my kids are watching. Not only are my kids watching, my brothers, anybody else around me that I'm an influence to. Like, am I going to sit here and just stay stagnant, as you mentioned? Or are we going to be affluent? Somebody told me one time that, Rivers, it was a Native American lady. she says that the river flows and that water itself cannot automatically like, full force break a rock unless there's a lot of force, but that's
Yeah.
not what we're referring to. It's a river. So the water, as it flows slowly, it breaks through those rocks. And if it doesn't, it rots. So
Mm.
that's what the lady, or was it a doctor? I don't know who the hell told me, but the moral of the story is that um, we have to face ourselves and decide whether we're gonna, entertain the same fucking patterns that we've had for the last 20 something, 30 something, 40 something, 50 something years, and become a victim of our own mentality, and a victim of ourselves. Because I think that's what it is, a victim of self, or identify, and it requires being humble and
Mm.
identifying like, damn, I'm all kinds of fucked up, but in identifying those issues and working on those issues.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I agree that I think there's different mindsets. So there's certain times where like I'm one of those people where I had to identify like this is where I'm fucking up, right? But I've seen a lot of people that will identify it and use it as a crutch. And I think there's a you have to have that balance because I agree with you. You do it like for me, I'm the same way. Like fuck, like damn, I'm doing this wrong, I'm doing this wrong, and I'm doing this wrong. But there's some people who would see that, and I know a lot of these people, and I always had to tell them, dog, you can't act like that. But they're like, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. I'm just a failure. Fuck it. It's like no, not fuck it. No, dog. Like get your ass up and fix that shit. And it's like I tell people, look, I feel bad for you, but no one's gonna feel sorry for you. Like
Mhm.
no one is gonna feel sorry for you. You got to get your ass up and do it yourself. And I tell people like, yeah, the system is unfair, but that doesn't mean you quit. It is what it is. It's unfair. Fuck it. You have a longer journey to go through. Fuck it. Like just you got to do it though. That's no excuse to tap out and be like, no, not me. I'm done. Fuck that shit. Like for me, I don't know. I think going back to resiliency, I love a battle. I love a challenge, right? Some of my greatest fucking times in my life is when I'm fighting. Like if not physically fighting, but like when I'm up against something. So if the odds are against me, then I always say, if the odds are against me, put your money on me because
Mhm.
we're gonna win. That's the way I look at it, and I just feel sad for those motherfuckers that refuse to do that. It's like the odds are against me. Oh no, and they ball up. Like hell no. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm I'm 100 and like I'm 100% with you on that. So we're indigenous, so we have this very combative spirit, right? And I've been combative my whole life. I think that at times I felt to identify what kind of battles you should be fighting and what kind of battles don't require any
Yeah,
energy. Because sometimes in being a warrior, you got to know when to keep your peace. You got to know when to keep your calm. Emotional intelligence, that's where that comes in. And I'm with you, man. I'm with you. If all odds are against me, I'm fighting. I don't care if I lose. I am not quitting and I am fighting. Um, for me, when in conception, am I saying that correctly? Upon, when a child is being created.
oh yeah, upon conception, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're swimming there with like I think it's like 4 billion sperm cells. And I'm
Yeah, there's a
sorry if
gang,
this is
yeah.
too much information, but you're that little sperm that could, right? And you made it. And everybody else died, right? So bye, brothers and sisters. I made it. Here I am. And then and I know this sounds stupid maybe to some people, but to me it's like, okay, we made it through all those obstacles, because it's very difficult for a woman to conceive. That whole process, again, I'm not a scientist, but it's very difficult. And you made it through. So you're here now. And to me it's like, okay, what is it that you're gonna do? Are you gonna, like, for us, we come from from a very what's the word, from a very crazy backgrounds, where
Mhm.
there's a lot of trauma, where there's a lot of crime. I mean, menace to society right here. But it's like, are you going to let that adversity, or even being a victim, identify you, who you are today? And not only that, will you allow like that trauma to pave the rest of your life? Or are you going to go ahead and outshine all that shit and say, you know what, fuck that, I'm the director of my life, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna design that. Because to me, it's fucking sad when you see all these people homeless, shooting up, whatever it may be. And I'm nobody to judge anybody, because like I said, I'm flawed myself, but that really does, I was getting to something, but that really does kind of, it makes me sad when I see anybody in those circumstances, because they gave up, and you
Yeah.
cannot give up.
You can't.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I had on a few other white babies the other day. We're chopping it up with them. Homie Dopey from Dogtown, homie Tejas from originally from Texas, came to California as a youth and ended up in YA. So it
Oh,
says like, like fucking walking to California type shit. You know what I mean? So but he told me a crazy story. He said it's not really a story, kind of like an analogy. He said somebody told him this, but it makes perfect sense. He says that there's two brothers. They have an abusive father who's a drug addict, right? And one ends up in prison, and somebody walks up to him and tells him like, what happened to you? How'd you end up here? He's like, well, I had an abusive father who's a drug addict. How could I not end up here, right? And then the other brother was a CEO, and they told him, what happened? How did you get here? And he says, well, I had an abusive father who was a drug addict. How could I not end up here? And it is crazy because a lot of it is based on perspective. It's like, are you gonna take those challenges and see them as challenges, like you said, see them as adversity and run through it, or are you gonna see this as obstacles you can't, that are impossible?
yeah, that's you know what? That's a powerful story. And it comes down to us as a community as well, because a lot of the times, we already know that abuse is there. We know that drug addiction is there. Um, all these barriers, or all these addictions, or not addictions, but all these fucked up circumstances are there, and they're designed so that you can fail, so that you can
Mhm.
quit. So yet the same place that like 10 motherfuckers came from that are doing life right now, also 5 CEOs and 10 doctors came from that community. So
Mhm.
we, to a certain extent, and this is where I get kind of conservative with my views. Um, when we talk about single moms, when we talk about the prison system, and it's not the justice system. There is a lot of inequalities. There is a lot of it's designed to take us into, but we, at the end of the day, we have the choice. Are we going to commit a crime, which can potentially lead these people, or, the cops to arrest me, and I'm gonna have to go through that whole rodeo? It comes down to personal choice. As a woman too, um, a lot of people find it funny to make fun of like single moms and this and that. And I think that to a certain extent, we as women have to take responsibility. Well, what kind of people am I hooking up with? What kind of what is it? What values do I have? What standards do I have? Don't fucking lower your standards for any motherfucker. If you want them to meet you there, they gotta go here, or meet you halfway.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that a man's gotta be rich or anything crazy like that. What I'm saying is that a man should have certain values so that you can raise a family, a help. And sometimes, sometimes a mom or a dad by themselves are better off raising a family than just a chaotic household.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
what I'm saying is, it is very important for the balance, for a child, for the balance of both parents to be there, not just emotionally, not just, but financially, where, I mean, the economy right now is fucking through the roof. So the reason I say that is that because to a certain extent, we as people, as a community, as an individual, have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
And sometimes we fail to do that, or we're just in denial about things.
Yeah, it's a trip. I find a lot of my inspirations and wisdom through music. I don't know why,
Me
but
too.
I'll take a lyric and I'll just break that shit down. Like, damn, that's so fucking tight. So there's this Slick Rick song. What's actually Outcast, but Slick Rick's on it, and he goes something like the prettiest girls have that psycho chick in them or some shit like that, right? And he goes, people tell me I should let other girls pursue me, but I don't know. Ordinary girls don't move me. So it's just like he's gonna stick with these psycho girls, and he knows it. It's like, dog, you see the outcome, because the whole story is talking about like how crazy this chick is, how incompatible they are. But these are the girls he goes for, And it's like it's to me those are great lines because he understands it, he recognizes it, yet he's not doing anything about it. And that's sometimes you'll see that, but I think a lot of the times people don't see it, and that's the problem too, is that they don't see the mistakes they're making, and they wonder why is this happening, why is, instead of asking why, figure that shit out. Why is this happening? Because I always tell people, if you have a problem at more than 2 or 3 places, it's probably not them.
I had to come to the cold hard truth. So for a long time, yeah, I would say like, damn, I hook up with the dumbest motherfuckers. And I'm being vulgar about it. And then one day I was sitting there and I was talking to my son, a fucking 15-year-old kid, okay? Or yeah, so I'm sitting there, I'm talking to him, and he's like, Mother, have you ever thought that maybe you're the problem? And then I looked at him. I didn't know if to slap that motherfucker or be proud of him, but I was, because for my child, and for my child to identify that. Now, with me, the problem was that I acknowledged that I like these dysfunctional type of people, because that's what I identified with or as for a long time.
Yeah.
So for me, like when a square guy, right? Because that's what I'm calling him, a square. When a square dude would walk up, and I had absolutely no interest because I was afraid to be myself. But when these dysfunctional ass other human beings would come by, it was like, oh shit, my cup of tea. Welcome, and it's a challenge sometimes when you got a problem, and I can identify to that, but you fail to do anything about it. You just don't care. You think it's normal, and it's really not.
Yeah, it's crazy because since a young age, that's just the way it is. You're just like, fuck it, it is what it is. Like, and I would always wonder why I keep getting arrested. It's like, you keep getting arrested because you keep committing crimes, you fucking jackass. And it's like, damn, fuck. And then when I remember when a YA, when I would see people who came before or came a little after me go home before me, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, damn, that's fucked up. Like, what happened? Like, why am I going home? It's like, you know why you're not going home. And it's crazy because I maybe people do know the answers, because I knew them when I was asking them, why am I going home? Or why do I keep ending up in these situations? Like, you keep ending up in these situations because you keep putting yourself in these fucking situations. Yeah, it's true. It's true though. Like but maybe sometimes we just need that outside voice to just tell us.
Yeah, I think, and of course, this is just my outside perspective. Like, when you're talking about YA, it sometimes it's hard not to snap on someone or just, at the time, or just rush someone. Like as an adult, I've had to learn to um, to watch what I say and how I say it.
Mhm.
Now here, I'm comfortable and I curse and this and that, but sometimes even when I'm talking to my partner, he's like, "Hey, why are you getting at me like that?" Or "Why are you," and it's like, or with my son, now that he's older, with my daughters too, but they're a little bit, the older one does check me. The two younger ones, they don't know it yet, but they're like, "Hey, why are you speaking to me like that?"
Yeah.
And I self, I'm like, "Oh, okay." And it's just, it's like I said, I'm flawed, but those things do become very difficult to change. It's and it doesn't happen overnight. So imagine a kid in YA, you want those motherfuckers to know who
Yeah.
cricket from EMF is, because that, and it sounds so silly, but our careers there, they it's an ego thing. So
Yeah.
either you're going to put in the work and you're not going to react because I know, to me, I was a victim of like my own like personality traits, my own thoughts. My thoughts became a part of my character. So there I am thinking, I'm doing the mostest, but in reality, I ain't doing shit with myself, but just sitting around there
Yeah.
and doing
Yeah.
nothing.
And
Yeah.
it's crazy you mentioned earlier being humble, right?
Hmm.
Because right now I don't know. I don't think I come off as this hugely arrogant guy and shit, but back in the day I had a huge fucking ego. Like 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 terrible ego where I just thought I was the shit. Nobody was fucking with me. I don't give a fuck. You could have muscles, fuck your muscles. You ain't fucking with me. If you could be taller than me, I don't give a fuck. You ain't fucking with. Like, no matter what, they're just, you're not fucking with me. That's the way I thought about it back in the day. And it's a trip because you do have to humble yourself at times to realize like, damn. And there was a time when I looked at myself in the mirror, it's like, dog, you ain't shit. And it's fucked up. You know, you're like, damn, like fuck. And it's like kind of want to cry when I say that. She's like, no, you are, you're the shit, dog. He's like, no, you're not. And it's a motherfucker because you got to come to realization, like you said, you break yourself down, where you just have to build yourself back up. Like, okay, I might not be the shit right now, and I might not have to strive to be the shit anymore, but I do have to get my shit together.
Yeah. Yeah, for me too. I I struggled with balance my whole life. Like you said, you know, and even up to like a few years ago, I was still involved in I just got off probation like in 2015 or 16 or something like that. So it is an ego thing. I was very egotistic. The way I spoke to people, I'm very arrogant, very, and sometimes I still come off as that, and I'm working on that. But I sound I sound like I'm in a therapy session right now. But no, definitely like sitting there, I have to come to an understanding with myself. Like, okay, look, sit your ass down. This and this and this and this is fucking wrong with you.
Mhm.
And I think that has to do with self-love too, though. You know, if you want to grow, you got to let go of old baggage. So I sat there and I was like, all right, well, first I'm going to take care of this, this, and this. And that's kind of how I've been navigating. And you know what else is very important in those journeys? The people that you keep around you, your
Yeah.
circle. Because if you hang out with a whole bunch of motherfuckers that ain't got no type of like motivation to want to do something in life, um, yeah, that's gonna become an issue in life for us as individuals. You are
Yeah.
who you hang with. You feel me?
Yeah, or there's even times where like I got some boys who I love these motherfuckers to death. Those are my dogs. But for certain things, I just can't involve them. Right. And it's like the other day, I went nuts and I was telling this fool, like, dog, let's not like talk about this shit right now because I already knowing I'm gonna get anxiety, I'm gonna get anger, I'm gonna get frustration. And sure enough, like I was on the fucking verge of that shit. And I just had to say, like, I'll chop it up with you later because fucking this shit's gonna, it's not gonna go anywhere where we want it to go. So sometimes, like, I'm lucky though, because now I get to the point where I could understand that. But it's unfortunate because there are times where certain things I can't do with certain people because I know like it's not healthy for me. And if it's not healthy for me, then I have to back away from it. And because that's what I try to do. I'm pretty unstable too. Like you said, I'm a mess too. So like I could feel you on that shit. And the only thing that I know how to do right now is to back up, observe what I'm doing. And if I know I can't control myself, then stop myself. And hopefully I'll work on being able to do things without having to be like that.
I think that what you just defined though, is discipline, because and it seems like a little, but it is a lot. I mean, I know um for myself too, like sometimes being present, you know, like I said, I feel they said that ADHD is really not real, but like I could be here right now and my mind is just going somewhere else. And I think refocusing and being present in the moment and being aware, you know, and also like coming to an understanding, like for me in my journey, I sit there and I tell myself, like, if I go ahead and I say what's on my mind to that person, is it really going to make a difference?
Yeah.
um Not only that, but in communicating too, sometimes I've always been not judgmental, but like, I don't give a fuck, you know,
Yeah.
they're gonna hear me. And I think for me, humbling myself is like identifying, like, okay, maybe this person's having a bad day and I don't need to feed into that. And we got to be selfish about it too. Like, am I really going to allow that to fuck up my day just because they're having a fucked up day,
Yeah.
you know? Things like that. Like, you got to be, that's how I navigate. It's difficult sometimes, so it's easier
Oh
said
yeah,
than done.
definitely. Oh, it's definitely
Yeah.
difficult. And you know what's a trip is you brought us something earlier. You said like you have to like be hard, and that was like your demeanor sometimes it goes a little overboard. I think it's a lot like that with the, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of females in the hood or in the barrios and shit. Because my wife is like that, where she is real rough sometimes, and I'm like sometimes we'll be clowning. And I'm like, baby, you're taking that shit too far now. Like, you need to calm down. You know what I mean? But like, she's real rough with it, and she doesn't realize it because she's like and she'll tell the kids to get over it, get over it. And I have to tell them, man, your mom, you know, she's tough. And it's crazy because I do see that a lot in her. And I have seen it in other women too, where it's just like sometimes I don't know, maybe the streets are a motherfucker you have to keep up, and sometimes you just boom surpass people. And I seen girls that clown, bomb on people, and like, damn, like these motherfucking girls are fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's like when you said women are, what is it that the guy from
Well, Slick
not
Rick,
Outcast? Yeah, like I don't know, but I think yeah, maybe I don't know your wife, of course, but to a certain extent, I can understand what environment she comes from. And I feel we do. Like, it's not like we're growing up in Brentwood and everything's good and men are wearing sweaters around their neck and shit and playing golf. You know, so we have to adapt.
yeah,
I'm like that too with my kids. I'm like, you better fucking get over it, you know? And it's not, maybe it's to a certain extent. I don't want to make them like not like callous about, you know, their overall experience, but I want them to understand that the world, we're
yeah,
getting into a what is it, into an era where people are very sensitive about many things. And you know, for me in this world, if you're going to be sensitive, you're going to break. You
yeah,
got to be who you are, and you got to, you know, stick to your guns, man. And just write it out. But yeah, as a woman, being a woman is a beautiful thing, but it does come with a lot of difficulty sometimes, in navigating with certain people in certain environments um, gets tough, you know, so you got to get tough with it. But
yeah,
sometimes finding the balance is good, because you win more bees with honey, you feel me? And I
yeah.
learned that in my 30s.
It's a trip because I was the only one in my family, or not in my immediate family, no, but I mean like my family at my house, like my wife and kids. I'm the only one in my family who has been in jail. And at times it seems like those motherfuckers are way harder than me. Like, damn, like I remember what I don't even know why I say this shit, but it's fucked up. But I because you reminded me of it with the Brentwood shit, right? So there was a time period where I was trying to switch up my style. And so I came home with some fucking like khaki shorts and some boat shoes and just like fucking like, oh yeah, look at me. And they fucking laughed at me. Ah, ha, ha, what do you think you're doing? Ah, ha, ha. You're going on a boat, dad? What the fuck is this? And my wife, like, you know, so wives would be like, honey, our kids don't talk to your father that way. You start saying, what the fuck are you wearing? Everybody was clowning me. And you're right. You can't be too sensitive about that because, like, sometimes you got to realize where you're at too. You know what I mean? Like, how are you gonna step in the house out of nowhere, no warning, wearing some boat shoes and some fucking khaki shorts and shit? Like it's all good, you know. I mean, people are like, "Dog, you don't dress like that. What the fuck you doing?"
Oh shit, that's crazy. You know what? This is for me with my kids. You know, I didn't want to get into exactly what happened, but I was driving with my boy, and so you know, both my older children are from a different relationship, and I was sitting there, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I know, you know, their father goes in and out of prison, and he was addicted to, well, I don't know if he's still addicted or not. We keep communication, but we're very I'm very careful with that relationship, because I don't want it. My kids are overall healthy children who, you
Yeah,
know, are thriving in school. So maybe I'm not doing the best, but I'm trying to do the best and just draw a line. You know, there's boundaries and stuff like that is what I'm trying to say. So
yeah.
there I was driving and shit. And then I'm like, I'm sorry, son. Does it embarrass you that he's your dad? I don't want to mention his name. And he's like, embarrass me? uh you're the one that slept with him. I wanted to like, I was like, do I smack him, do I, but he made me so proud. And you know, like,
Yeah,
damn, he told me, but it made me proud that he identified something. And my, you know, he like what is it, deflected my what I was projecting onto him back to me, like, no bitch, you deal with it, that's your issue. And sometimes those kids are more, you know, more hardcore than a level 4
Yeah.
prison yard and what they say. I'm like, fuck, my self-esteem shattered and shit. It was funny.
Yeah, my son walked up to us one day and he's like, "Hey, Jay-Z is doing this new program where poor people could fix their credit by like with Netflix subscriptions and shit like that." I was like, "Oh, that's dope. Yeah, yeah, good for him." He's like, "You guys should get on that." And I was like, "Ah, fuck."
He was like, I seen that 430 FICO score. Isn't it amazing the shit that kids pay attention to now?
Yeah, yeah. And I try to,
For
what's fucked up though is that I try to tell my kids, I know how to manage credit. I just never did it. I could help you guys, but they see, like you said, the credit score and the bills, and like, I don't know, Dad. But it's like I know what I'm doing. Well, maybe not personally, but I know I can help you do what you need to do. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes when they become adults.
that is really cool though. Did you see? I think it was what's his name? Short comedian guy. He's
Oh, Kevin
funny.
Hart.
Kevin Hart. He's doing that through Chase.
Oh yeah.
So Chase, yeah, Chase offered him some sort of like, okay, we're gonna get all these white dudes to go into the hood, and you're gonna, assist in developing that program. But he was like, nope. He was like, I'm the one that identifies with them. I'm the one that's relatable. So I
Yeah.
think they were working on that, which I feel that that's dope. I many times, you know what, it's true, many times they don't teach us like, hey, you know what, about financing. We're not what is it,
Financially illiterate.
financially literate. I was one of those kids. I wanted a fucking Mercedes, yet I'm living in an apartment with a 420 fucking credit score. But the first thing you want is like a Mercedes Benz. And it's like, there's a lot of people that are still doing that. And it can literally like fuck up your life if you don't finance correctly,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
it could. And what I love seeing though now is now yeah, I'm still like or not where I should be. Obviously, I mean, like fuck, but I could definitely be better. But what I love seeing is I have a lot of homies that are a little older than me, and these fools have been on the grind for years and years, and some of them are like pulling badass pads, like bad, and they have cars and they have everything. And I would talk to them like, hey, what is it? How'd you get all that shit? They said, Doug, I've been in fucking pinholes and fucking fucked up hatchbacks and all kinds of shit for years, apartments. And he goes, and it just took saving and it took grinding. And so it kind of lets me see that it's never too late because these cats are in their 40s now and they're doing that shit. So I was like, fuck it. Maybe I can't do it in my 40s, but maybe I could. I'm gonna aim for it. I'm shoot for it.
I
But
think you
by
could.
yeah, by the time I get to my 50s, definitely I'll have that shit laid out.
Yeah.
So grandkids come up. Sorry, kids. Your kids will come up.
No, I think you could. I mean, and when I speak to you too, like you were talking about potential, like, I don't know, man, I just see this affluent, like very bright human being, and I don't
I
mean that
appreciate
to
that.
like, I'm just being forward. I think for me too, who helped me was my partner,
Mhm.
because um we're talking, and you know what, resiliency doesn't only have to be to not getting in trouble, to not responding. It also has to do with financing and just overall life, and not just that discipline. So I mean, I used to be the type of person, if I was going to get a $1,500 check, at least $1,100 of it was already spent in credit cards.
Yeah.
So my partner started to like look at my finances, or he would ask me like, do you have money, like what's going on? And then one day he was like, you know what, he was like, you need to start saving your money. He was like, your pants look great, but there's children that you need to take care of first. And just, I guess he grounded me. And not that's yeah, he was kind of stern about it and just said like, look, you got to prioritize. Like, a Mercedes is great, but a Mercedes is great when you're not going to be worried about making the payment. There's a class I took, I forgot the name of it, but they and I, you know what, I won't even get into it because I don't even know the terminology for it. But definitely, what's another thing? Investing. We
Yeah.
don't I was never taught to invest. Now I'm like on Robinhood and shit, seeing what I should invest in. But it's called, definitely financial literacy. And
Yeah.
with that comes too, they say that in 2050, we're going to be the majority, which I feel like to a certain extent on the West Coast, we're already a majority. I could be wrong about that, but something like that. But like, um, owning a business, gentrifying our neighborhoods, because our neighborhoods don't necessarily, and you know what? I see white people, like I love white people. I love I don't love everybody. I don't discriminate anybody. You know,
Yeah.
I don't like you based upon who you are as an individual. Nothing else is involved, just characteristics, right? And we're human, so but definitely that, like, opening businesses and stuff like that. I think that's one of my goals, to have my own business and stop working for people.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now, little by little. And there's it is crazy because there's months where it's hell yeah, I'm killing this shit. And there's months where like, oh fuck, what I do? Like, should I go apply for a job? So it's crazy though. But my, like you said, it's who you surround yourself with. I'm lucky enough to have a wife that really supports me and tells me like, don't quit on yourself. You can do this. Because I like, one thing I had to learn how to do, and one thing that she taught me is how to dream. I never knew how to dream. So I was just like, nah, that's not for me. Or nah, I can't do that. Like, nah, like this is the safest option. I'm gonna do this, right? And she told me, like, go for it. You can do it. You got the potential to do it. Chase that shit. So I like you said, it's really important to have a team around you, have people around you that believe in you and they will help you out. I always say life is like a fight. There's one fight that I watched. I don't know if you ever seen the Diego Corrales and Jose Luis Castillo fight,
No,
right?
I have not.
So they had two great fights. What happened in on the 10th round? Chico Corrales is getting his ass whooped. Boom, boom. I got dropped, I think like 3 fucking times. So Castillo's is beating the fuck out of this fool, right? And what he's doing is every time he's getting dropped, he's spitting out his mouthpiece, basically buying himself some time, right? Buying himself some time. And then when he gets dropped like the third or fourth time, the referee tells him, uh, you do that shit again, like I'm taking a point right now. You do that shit again, you're out, you're done with the fight. So he's behind on the cards. He's gonna fucking lose this fight. He goes to his corner, and his corner tells him, "This fight's over unless you do something. You better fucking do something." He tells him, "You better fucking do something." Right? Corrales goes back in there and ends up knocking out Castillo. And it's crazy because he hit the ground 3 times, right? So he kept getting back up, though. It wasn't about how many times he got knocked down. He kept getting back up. He spit the fucking thing out of his mouth to buy some time. This probably wasn't the way to go about it. He got penalized for that. So he faced a penalty for that, right? And then what did he do? He went to his corner, and his corner told him, "You better fucking do this." And he fought harder than he's ever fought before and ended up winning that fight. So that's what I think life is like sometimes. Sometimes you have to buy yourself some time. Sometimes fuck, it's not going to be the right move to make. But then if you have those people in your corner, they're going to give you that strength to keep going.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's a man, a partner in your case, your wife, like that's gold, you know. And it's we've gotten too into like into a what is it? I lose my words, but we're in this time now where like being married or being settled down with someone is not cool. But like to me, like I love my partner. Like that's my best friend. That's
Yeah.
my, you know, because motivation is something that comes and goes, right? I would be fucking lying to you if I'm like, oh, I'm motivated every day. Fuck no. Sometimes I don't even want to get out of bed. But to have that person in your ear talking about, no, you don't give up, you get up, you know, like in your wife's case, to tell you to dream, you got this platform, you got, you know, it's so funny because when I seen your channel, because I, you know, here and there when I get some time, I watch videos. I love YouTube. So you have a platform that I don't think I've seen anybody else out there like that. And that's very like, I don't know, man, you can't stop dreaming. You gotta listen to your wife.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and that's one thing she's always told me, like, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this. And I'm like, how? And she's like, figure it out. And I'm just like, shit. She'll help me along the way though. But a lot of times she's like, you have to do it. And I just like sometimes I'm confused, like I don't know what the fuck I gotta do. And but she's helping me like along the way, and I'm learning, and I'm saying, oh, okay, I could do this. Unfortunately, there's still some things where she does everything. And I'm like, she's the brains of the operation. I'm just the face. And I even fucking but I'm learning too, because it's crazy. I'll ask a question, right? Like when we started doing the clothes and shit, I was like, there has to be a cheaper way to fucking do this. Like there has to be like fuck, why isn't there a cheaper way? And when I ask those questions, she'll get the answer, and she'll come back to me. There is, but you have to do this, this, and this. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
she's
fuck it.
on it.
Yeah, I could do that. So that a lot of times that because I've always been that kind of guy where I would say there has to be something else. But my only problem is I didn't know how to find that. I knew what the problem was. I just know how to get the answer. So she knows how to get the answer. Sometimes she doesn't know what the question is, but she'll know how to get that fucking answer. And so it's a perfect team. And you're right. There, I feel sad when I hear people say there's no good ones out there. There are. It's just you people have to like I don't want to say settle, like not definitely don't want to settle, but you have to understand what it is you need and what it is that would benefit you and who you'd be compatible with. Sometimes they're looking for somebody who is, I don't want to say out of their league, but it's like not in the same place as them,
Mhm.
because you want to find a partner, a spouse, somebody you're in there with that you can grow with. And it's gonna
Mhm.
help you grow. So it's like it might not be the fucking model on Instagram that you want to hook up with, but it's going to be somebody, and you just have to appreciate like not only physical beauty but internal beauty, and then
Yeah.
that's gonna be what's gonna help you flourish.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I think I think you hit the nail on the head, man, because um and you know what's another thing too, when you are in a relationship already and there's problems, identifying that you got to work, a relationship has to be nourished. You got to work at it. It's like a car. If something fucking breaks down, you don't go throwing the whole car away. You fix the issue. um and again, do you love yourself before you go getting into any
Yeah.
relationship expecting to
Yes.
find love elsewhere? Love starts, within, and whatever you are, whatever you project is what will be projected back. So when you, like you said, when you find that partner, it's a beautiful thing. I know I love my partner. We've almost killed each other a whole bunch of times, but like I said, it's not fixating yourself on the problems and navigating, and when I say kill ourselves, I don't really mean that. Like if you're dealing with domestic violence or anything crazy
Yeah,
like
tap
that,
out. Yeah, yeah.
that is not what love is about. Yeah. So no, definitely. And having the will to win. I know that some of the most interesting people I've met come from very like adverse like childhoods, trauma. We were fucked up. Some of the most fucked up people are some of the most genuine and interesting people out there,
Oh
and
yeah.
at least in my experience, and that's who I like to learn. And some of them, of course, don't share the same experience, but definitely surround yourself around people that want to see you grow and win. And you got to have the will to win.
Yeah.
And we got to put in the work.
I love that, the will to win, because I think
Yeah.
that's something that a lot of people are missing, and that's something that everybody has to uh like adopt, and they have to practice, is that will to win. It's like even if you don't win, fuck it, at least have the will to do that. Like I told people when I went on that show, Revenge Body, I stepped in the ring with Leon, and I thought I was gonna win that fight, and I quickly learned like, dog, you in over your head. But I thought I was gonna win, and I'm not lying, until about the fourth round I thought I had a chance. And it's just when I hit him with my hardest shot and I had nothing left that I realized, like, fuck, you're not gonna win. But even then, I was still fighting. But that's what you have to have in life. You have to have that will to win. You have to have that fucking no never die attitude. Like, I'm not gonna quit. You're not gonna beat me. Even if you do beat me, you're not gonna make me quit. You're not gonna break me. And that's how we gotta look at life. And I always tell people we came from fucked up circumstances. So what? We dealing with abuse. So what? That's not us today. We are who we are. And I'm not saying so what, like ignore it. No, deal with that shit. Like you said, you have to love yourself. You have to find a way to love yourself. Once you do that, tackle the fucking world. Nothing's gonna stop you. And that's fucking that's what we're talking about earlier. That's the adversity. That's the resiliency, is the fact that we're able to deal with what we came from and tackle the world with that shit. And just fucking, I strongly think that this generation is gonna push us into the mainstream, and we're gonna do things that a lot of people didn't think people from the streets can do.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I seen a clip of that of your show. And just the fact that you got up there, right? A lot of people would have been like, I ain't getting in that ring, you know. The fact that you got up there and you were like, well, here, you know, here goes my best. That right there is what we need in life. And like you said, we got to be prepared to lose. We got to be prepared to fucking take some hard falls, but you got to get up. You got to keep going. Um, and it's not easy. It sounds easy and it sounds fucking positive vibes and shit, but there's gonna be those dark days where you don't want to get up, you don't
Mhm.
want to do it. But I think you know what's very important in life is not necessarily the motivation. It's what are you living for? What is your
Yeah,
purpose? You
yeah,
know?
yeah. You know what's the truth about that too is part of that was my ego too, though, because even though I said I humbled myself a lot, I didn't, like I said, I didn't see his muscles. I didn't see how big he was. All I saw was somebody who called me out, and I just went for it. Sometimes you gotta have that too. But it's crazy because he told me one thing on there. He goes, Javi, uh, in life, uh, especially when you're working out, he goes, you know, when you have to go for it the most is when you don't feel like doing it. Says
Yeah.
when you don't feel like doing it, that's when you have to get up. He goes, if you're pumped up to do it and it doesn't happen, whatever, like fuck it, you'll get it another day because you got that motivation. He says, when you're not motivated, when you're tired, when you feel like fuck, this is too much, he said that's when you have to get your ass up and get out there and do it. So I do that a lot to this day. Like I'm back on my weight loss journey and fucking there's days where I'm like, fuck, my body's sore. I don't want to do this shit. And it's crazy. That day we went on a hike. I was climbing up some rocks and shit. I was halfway there. My fucking heartbeat, I looked at that shit was like at 190. I was like, fuck. And I was like halfway done. Like, but the cool thing is I had no choice because I'm not calling back down those fucking rocks. So like my only choice is to go up.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's dope. That's I wish more people would see it like that, and I think they are. But I think we touched on a lot of cool shit today because people do have to learn about self love and realize that there are good people out there for them. They just had to love themselves and look in the right direction.
And it's never too late,
Never too
ever.
late.
Yeah.
And I think that's our time. Do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap it up, Yara?
No, man, this was cool. Thank you.
And we'll be back again next week. The Indigenous Heathens Podcast. We out. Peace.
Peace.